Alright, welcome back guys to another video for Dying Light 2 on how to combat certain enemies in the game. This one I want to be going over, it's actually really easy, it's going to be very short. It would be as short as like, going over a biter or something in the game. But it is something a little bit more high tier, but it is something to be looking out for and how to actually, actually fight or know about. And this is the I want to say Suicider or Bloater, whatever the heck you want to call it. The guys that you see in the VNC tower way later on in the game, essentially what they are is just suicide bombers. They run up to you and explode and do an absurd amount of damage. So one thing to note that they have an extremely small health pool to where it's like 1 point of damage to anything. So anything like grappling them, pulling them down, they'll freak out and explode. Doing so will cause a noise source, and that will attract any kind of virals in the area, so it is one thing to point out. They will not only do a lot of damage to you, but if you're out in the middle of the open, they will call in more enemies and try to fight you, or have a bunch of virals, which you guys already seen down in my last video. I already talked about how to fight those things, so that kind of leads on to the next one. So that's one thing to note. So I'm also going to go ahead and go to options here and turn on a HUD here. So let me go to my player health bar. We're going to turn that on. I want to show you guys just how much damage these things do, so you know that there's some serious deals. So this guy sees me, flips out, hits me. Alright, that one did barely like any kind of damage at all. So there is one thing, like they do actually attack and they will explode. Do that, there we go. Now that one did a lot more damage, so I think it's a bit random as you can see there, one of them just barely did anything. The second one did a lot more damage, almost the rest of the whole health bar. So they do vary on actual damages between each one, but a lot of them, like some of them can end up like doing a whole health bar or two worth of damage to there. And that is one thing to keep in mind. So they'll not only knock you down on their back if you're not careful, if they're up on like roofs or any kind of elevated surface, they can easily blow you back and knock you off a building if you don't have a grapple hook or a paraglider to help you out, which you should already have, but if it just doesn't work out in weird situations, you will most likely fall to your death and die. So it is one thing to keep in mind. So there is a bunch of stuff that you can actually do there. Obviously, no head-on combat, not really recommended. If you hit them, you're going to explode and take a lot of unnecessary damage. What you can do to combat them is mostly range attacks. So throwing knives, really easy to make. You can just craft them. All they take is scrap and rags to build, which is kind of weird. I thought you would be able to use the blades for crafting materials that you can use, but no, it's actually really cheap to do. You can easily go into one of the Forsaken stores and make a lot of them. Almost mid-tier, you're able to make 3 throwing knives per time you craft them, so it should be very abundant and very easy to use. Like I said, this thing does have like a 1 point of an actual health bar, so anything thrown at them will automatically make them explode. Obviously, you can use other weapons as well. This is a bit way more expensive, and I do not recommend it, but you can also use the boomstick. Handcrafted shotgun, really the only gun in the game, aside from any kind of Easter egg weapons that you can use that do a similar effect. You can also use the bow and the crossbow if you really wanted to. But again, those are a little bit more expensive to build those kind of weapons. Well, I say that, but the crossbow bolts is only scrap and feathers there, so a little bit more niche to find those very specific areas, but not too hard to build. But you can use those resources elsewhere. You can also use infected blades if you have them unlocked, but it's really up to you. So there's a bunch of ways you can go about it. You can also just use the grapple hook that I use there. That will be wasting no resources at all, but if you don't have that unlocked, which you should though, you should have that in the same mission, but that's not, it wouldn't already be upgraded when you're doing that whole mission. So you won't normally would have your grapple hook unlocked at that point to where it's able to grab enemies, or level up enough to where it's able to grab enemies and stuff, so you would have to resort to other methods until you actually get that upgrade. So there's plenty of ways to combat it. It's not really too hard to get rid of, but if you have a bunch of enemies trying to swarm you and that guy runs into the mix, normally like Dying Light 1 would, it pretty much spells the end of you. And it's just something I want to go over real quick. Like I said, it's going to be a real quick kind of combat. you're gonna be using it. And it takes a different approach than how you would normally go about attacking most enemies in this game. So yeah, so that's going to be pretty much wrapping up everything on the whole combat there. So tell me what you guys think about that whole thing, or like the whole combat, or how you actually take it on. Did I forget anything in there, or did you guys find any other kind of method on taking them down? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.